Hi everyone, it's David from Craft Obsessions, and today I'm going to show you something that I think is going to blow your socks off, or at least I hope it will blow your socks off. I'm going to show you stick it again in relation to how to use stick it, and I've chosen probably one of the most detailed dies that we've got here at the moment. It's one of the new Spellbinders dies from their Victorian collection. I'm going to keep it a little bit of a secret in terms of what I'm going to do with this die, but I will ask that you just bear with me while I go through the process, because with it being so intricate we might have a few things to poke out, but I promise you that the result will be worth it and you'll be glad that you stayed with me. So all I'm going to do, for those of you who haven't seen stick it before, I'm going to basically use a piece of cardstock which has been cut to the size of the die that we need to use, and then I've also cut two pieces of stick it, one for the front and one for the back. So we're going to apply those now, and I'll just again go through just to show you how easy stick it is to use. There are convenient peel away areas or crack back along the length of the sheets, and to attach it to your project you're just going to offer it up and just lightly slide with your finger, and you just see how easy that goes on. So apologies if you've seen this this before on the previous video, but I know that a lot of you watching probably haven't seen stick it being used before, so I'll just go through this bit, and then we'll get on to what I think is really going to, as I said, blow your socks off. So just find the crack back area on this piece, and we'll do the same again. You'll see on the piece that I already laid on, there's a little area just on the side here where the adhesive is exposed. It's important that we cut those off before we die cut, and the reason for that is that's the only way that you're ever going to get any adhesive on your tools and equipment. Once the stick it's on the cardstock and it's sandwiched properly, you won't get any bleed over of adhesive on your dies or equipment. So just get rid of any exposed adhesive like I've just done there, and then we're good to go. So front and back coated, and now I'm just going to die cut it. So I won't bore you with that, because I'm sure you've seen that done a million times. So bear with me a second, I'll just die cut this piece and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we've got the die cut piece. You remember from previous videos that stick it being so incredibly thin, even with a die of this intricate nature, you can see how easily it comes away. It doesn't interfere with the cutting of your die in any way, because it is so thin. In fact, it was nice. We've been calling the product micro thin, but a lady at the NEC at the show we did last week suggested that sounded a little bit too industrial, so she came up with the idea that we should call it whisper thin, which I actually quite like. So maybe we'll have to change the packaging. So all I'm going to do now is remove the die as best I can from remove the die cut, I should say, from the die. And as I say, because this is so intricate, if you can just sort of bear with me while I do this bit, once we get it started, it will actually come away quite easily, despite all the intricate areas. We just need to basically tease it away at its own pace, and then I'll just put that down and just help it along with a pokey tool to pop out the various areas. But you can see, even though there's lots of little tendrils and delicate areas of the die, it does actually come away quite easily, and it doesn't tear. You just need to be careful to make sure that you don't force it. So just pop these bits out. I promise you the result will be worth it. It's spectacular what you're going to see in a minute. So we're just finished teasing that out. You can see, despite how intricate this die is, and it really is very intricate, there's little holes all over it, there's little tendrils that are almost like, oh, there we go, that sort of wrap round on themselves. So you can see how detailed that is and how easily that came out of the die, really, all things considered. I know I probably made it look a bit more difficult than it needed to be, but you know that's my style. So get rid of the waste, and then what we're going to do is stick that onto a piece of card. So again, I know I've showed you this before, and let me just move it up close to the camera so that you can see. I know we've got a little piece already peeled here, but just to peel the backing off, all we're going to do is slide with a pokey tool. It's a little bit trickier because I'm actually holding it as opposed to it being flat, but you can see that once you actually get it to slide, it was bending a little bit under the pressure there, but once it slides you can pull that away from the backing, and so long as you tease it away again at its own pace, you should find that even though with the die being as intricate as this one, it should come away pretty much at its own pace in one piece. You might get the odd bit stuck here and there, but it's no big deal to just go in and start another piece. But right at this point, the release paper that we've developed specifically for the adhesive is doing its job in as much as it's releasing from the adhesive. So as we peel that back like so, nearly there. I did tell you that this would take a little bit longer because of the kind of die. So we've now got an even covering of adhesive all over the die. Hope you can sort of see that where it's glistening, and all we're going to do now is pop that onto a piece of card for doing the next bit, which, as I said, I was keeping as a little surprise. So just make sure all those tendrils just go down where they're supposed to be, and remember, if you have any little bits that aren't quite stuck down, stick it as repositionable, so you can just literally lift it back off and place it back down again. Now here comes the fun bit. We just need to make sure that this is really well pressed down, because we don't want any bits lifting up. And what we're going to do now is remove the backing paper from this side of the die cut. So again, just lift it up with a pokey tool, and like we did before, it's a little bit easier actually if you do let this bit tear, because where it's laid flat like so, it's not as easy to manipulate it with your hands as you go. So we'll just basically let that little bit tear. We can come back to this other bit in a second. As I say, it's not a major problem if you don't get it all off in one piece. You see we've got a little bit there, but we can just scratch that away. And again, the little tendrils, if they pop away from the card like that, it's not a problem, because you can easily fix that, and I'll show you how you do that in a second. What you need to make sure is when you remove the silicone liner from a larger piece, just keep a few bits to one side. I already mentioned to you that you can use it to condition your dies, because the silicone will basically release onto your die to make it easier to remove your die cut from the die when you're cutting. So it acts as a kind of a release agent. We'll just remove this extra bit here. You see it comes away really easily. It's not a big issue. So we've got a couple of bits that are standing up there. If you have a piece of release liner, you'll see it's shiny on one side. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. Doing everything back to front, so I keep moving it in the wrong way. So basically use the silicone release paper to just place it over the design, and obviously you can just use that then to make sure that everything is nice and pressed down and it won't stick to the design. If you tried to use your finger, you can hear that as the adhesive, so it's actually sort of sticking to my hand. So just use the silicone release paper to just make sure all the bits are down, and then we're ready to get on to the really cool bit here that I think is going to blow you away. So bear with me just a second while I tidy up, and we'll be right back with you. Okay, so here we go, and now for the surprise ending, and the surprise is gilding flake. This is something that you wouldn't have been able to do before Stick It arrived on the scene. And basically all we're going to do is just grab a wad of gilding flake like so, Try not to sneeze when you're doing this. And then all we're going to do is just rub the gilding flake over the design. So you remember that it's obviously coated with an even coating of adhesive all over the design. So all I'm doing is just basically working the gilding flake onto the adhesive so that it's nicely stuck down, like so. And then just going to get rid of the majority of the waste, if I can, aim it into the pot, like so, and then just make sure that's all stuck down, and then basically go in as you would normally if you were stamping a design with adhesive. Go in with a bit of scoochy foam and look at this. Can you see? All I'm doing is just gentle, even pressure, and look at that. Is that stunning? Or is that stunning? I told you it would blow your socks off. I hope I've succeeded. So there we go, we're just working through. You can see the adhesive is only stuck to the die cut. You've got no overrun, you've got no bleed of adhesive. That's one of the cool things about Stick It. One of the main properties, that it only coats the die cut. So the adhesive is on the cardstock, not anywhere else. You haven't got any little strands or strings of adhesive anywhere else to spoil the appearance. And look at that. It's like metal filigree when you're finished. And seriously, well, you'll know, you couldn't do this without Stick It. It just wouldn't have physically been possible. Look at that. Is that beautiful or what? There you go, look. Socks duly blown off, I believe. So there's something else you can do with Stick It. It's a fantastic product. It went down so well at the NEC last week. You know, the great thing was the reveal of the product, which is obviously basically that we've got here. You know, everybody couldn't believe how detailed it could be with both gilding flake and with obviously ultrafine glitter. And it doesn't matter the kind of dye that you use. I've got a couple more sort of examples here. So if you just want to add just a little bit of art, if you like, you just want to add some gilding flake highlights, and because it's so thin, I don't know if you can see on this feather at the top here, you still get the embossed pattern of your dye. The adhesive doesn't take that away from when you're embossing the dye as you cut it. The adhesive's so thin, it takes the impression and it doesn't detract from it. And also you've got, in fact I've got another die here, because it's so cool. Let's just do it again once more. I'm just going to take this backing paper off of a die that I cut earlier, peel that off, tease it away like so. That one's coming up almost in one piece. Oh, I just spoiled it right at the very end there, but we're almost there. And then we'll use a different colour gilding flake for a slightly different effect. So there's our die cut, ready for gilding flake, and this gorgeous new mega flake from Indigo Blue called Chocolate Box, which we haven't got in stock yet, but it won't be long. And look at the colours of this. It's almost good enough to eat. So all we're going to do is again lay the flake on the design like so, work it in with your fingers, and then go over with the foam, and you get the idea. A stunning result every time. If I can pick it up, look at that. Is that gorgeous or what? So there you go. Stick It, gilding flake, and a little bit of patience, your most intricate dies, and you can create some stunning embellishments for your projects. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.